Come aboard and bring along all your hopes and dreams. Together we will find everything that we're looking for. One Piece.
Freedom, one of the most celebrated yet elusive ideals. But what does it truly mean to be free? Is it the absence of constraint, or does it involve a deeper confrontation with meaning, choice, and responsibility? In this video, we explore the rich philosophical undercurrents of freedom and existentialism through the lens of One Piece, an anime and manga that offers profound reflections on these timeless questions. By tracing the path of Monkey D. Luffy in his quest for the title of Pirate King, we will draw on existentialist thinkers like Jean-Paul Sartre, Friedrich Nietzsche, and Albert Camus, examining how Luffy's Odyssey reflects core existential concerns about individual freedom, responsibility, and the quest for authentic existence. To understand Luffy's journey through a philosophical lens, it's necessary to first establish the basics of existentialism. Existentialism is a philosophy that focuses on the human experience, emphasizing personal freedom, choice, and the creation of meaning in a world that does not inherently provide it. Jean-Paul Sartre, a key existentialist, famously asserted that existence precedes essence. This means that humans are born without a predetermined purpose, and it is up to each of us to define our own essence through the choices we make. Friedrich Nietzsche introduced the idea of the will to power, focusing on the individual's drive to assert and create meaning. Albert Camus, while exploring absurdity, argued that even in a world devoid of inherent meaning, we must resist nihilism and instead find value in our own rebellion against the absurd. Luffy's pursuit of becoming the Pirate King is fundamentally an existential quest, but it's not driven by conventional goals of power or dominance. Rather, Luffy seeks to be the freest man on the seas. His quest is symbolic of the existential search for freedom, not merely in the physical sense, but in the deeper, philosophical sense of autonomy and self-determination. In Sartre's terms, freedom is not simply the ability to act without restriction. It is the recognition that as individuals we are condemned to be free. Luffy's choices are not made lightly, and though he embraces freedom, he is acutely aware of the weight of responsibility that accompanies it. His fight against tyranny, whether it's the oppressive rule of Crocodile in Alabasta, Doflamingo's dictatorship in Dressrosa, or even the corruption of the world government, mirrors the existentialist belief in the necessity of individual resistance to oppressive structures. By liberating others, Luffy ensures not just his own freedom, but also that of those around him. Jean-Paul Sartre's famous declaration that we are condemned to be free highlights the tension between the desire for autonomy and the heavy responsibility that comes with it. Luffy's journey illustrates this philosophical tension vividly. Time and again, he's faced with decisions that shape his path and the lives of his friends and allies. Every choice Luffy makes reflects the existential burden of freedom. By choosing to defy the world government and fight for his crewmates, Luffy bears the weight of those decisions. Existentialist philosophers argue that this burden is intrinsic to freedom. We must live with the consequences of our actions, and no external authority can absolve us of that responsibility. Luffy's leadership showcases Sartre's belief that true freedom comes with acknowledging and accepting the responsibility of our choices. Luffy's relentless pursuit of his dream can be understood through Nietzsche's concept of the will to power. Unlike the common interpretation that associates this will with domination, Nietzsche saw it as the fundamental drive towards self-overcoming, creativity, and the assertion of one's own values. Luffy embodies the will to power in the purest sense. His quest to become the Pirate King is less about ruling others and more about transcending limits. Whether those limits are physical, like his mastery of hockey, or ideological, as he consistently challenges the established world order. Nietzsche's idea of the Übermensch, or the Overman, describes an individual who creates their own values and meaning, unbound by societal expectations. Luffy's journey is precisely this, an assertion of freedom and self-determination that transcends the roles imposed by the world government and other structures of authority. Albert Camus famously used the myth of Sisyphus as a metaphor for human existence, endlessly pushing a boulder up a hill, only for it to roll back down. For Camus, life is inherently absurd, but this does not lead to despair. Instead, the struggle itself becomes the source of meaning. Luffy's endless pursuit of freedom mirrors Camus' concept of the absurd hero. In a world that offers no guarantees of success and is full of insurmountable odds, Luffy continues to push forward. He finds meaning not in the attainment of a final goal, but in the very struggle itself, the pursuit of adventure, freedom, and the protection of his crew. Camus argued that even in the face of a meaningless universe, human beings can rebel by living fully and authentically. Luffy's laughter in the face of danger, his ability to find joy even in the most dire circumstances, embodies Camus' idea that we must imagine Sisyphus happy. Luffy's journey isn't isolated within the anime world. His existential quest resonates with other figures in popular culture and literature who grapple with the same profound questions about freedom and meaning. Like Neo, who chooses to awaken from the comforting illusion of the Matrix, Luffy rejects the constraints of his world in favor of carving out his own path. Tyler Durden, in Fight Club, rebels against a society that denies individual agency, while V, in V for Vendetta, fights for the liberation of society from totalitarian control. These figures, like Luffy, challenge us to question the nature of freedom and to resist the forces that seek to define or constrain us. As One Piece draws closer to its conclusion, we're left with the question: will Luffy's ultimate goal of becoming Pirate King fulfill his existential quest for freedom? Or will the journey itself be the true source of meaning? Luffy's story is far from over, but the questions it raises will resonate long after. What does true freedom look like? Is it the absence of authority, or is it the courage to take responsibility for our lives and the world around us? Like the philosophers before us, we are left to ponder these questions as Luffy's adventure continues. Thank you for joining me in this exploration of freedom and existentialism in One Piece. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more philosophical analyses of your favorite anime, films, and books.